Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Bank of India conference call. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. We have with us today Shri A.K. Das, MD and CEO, Shri P.R. Rajagopal, Executive Director, Shri Swarup Dasgupta, Executive Director, Shri M. Karthikeyan, Executive Director, Srimati Monica Kalia, Executive Director, and other top management team from Bank of India. I would now like to hand the conference over to Shri A.K. Dasgupta, Shri A.K. Das, MD and CEO. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
You can please, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I extend a very warm welcome to each one of you for today's interactive session and share with you the financial results for Q4 of last year and the entire full financial year FY 2021. At the outset, let me thank all our customers and stakeholders, including our analyst fraternity, for their unstinted support during the challenging times. During the financial year, the bank, among others, extended financial support to various sectors of the economy for alleviating stress caused by the pandemic. The bank, at the same time, continued its core strategy of improving assets quality and reorientation of advances growth towards RAM segments and other segments. The gross and net NPAs of the bank during the year witnessed improvement, both quantum and percentage-wise. The net NPA ratio, as you might be seeing in the presentation, declined from 3.88% in March 2020 to 3.35% in March 2021. The bank maintained a high PCR of more than 86%. Slippage ratio came down from 4.61% in March 2020 to 2.40% in March 2021. There has been a marked improvement in credit cost also, which came down from 4.06% in FY20 to 1.80% in FY21. Although pandemic-induced stress on various economic sectors is inevitable, the bank remained always vigilant for moderating its impact, especially on overall asset quality. As a deliberate strategy, the bank, apart from catching to the corporate segments, redirected in a more reinvigorated way higher credit flow towards RAM segments, which witnessed a credit growth of 10.57%, and its share in advances increased to more than 50%. Credit to MSME segment went up by 12.7% and retail credit by 11.9%. Bank has taken several initiatives to enhance its competitiveness in the area of IT. We are upgrading our system to Finacle 10 very shortly, to be precise during the month of July. E-platform is being instituted for providing our customers an end-to-end digital journey in lending processes, apart from enabling bank to widen customer outreach through improved MIS system and data analytics. Specialized processing centers in the field of MSME, retail and agri have been revamped, and their number is being increased. It is these centers that will prove to be key drivers of growth with improved TAT and margins. During 2021, the bank's capital has been augmented through 81 bond of rupees 1,352 crore and coupled with infusion of capital by government to the tune of 3,000 crore and plowback of internal accrual, the capital adequacy ratio has improved from 12.51% in December 20 to a significantly higher 14.93% in March 2021, with CET1 of 11.51%. We will continue to build and maintain the bank's well-capitalized one to support growth and boost resilience. I am happy to share that the bank has posted a net profit of 250 crore for the quarter 4 of FY21 and rupees 2,160 crore for the full year FY21. I thank again all of you for your continued support and place on record my sincere thanks to all customers, other stakeholders, including Government of India, Reserve Bank of India, and our staff pool of 51,000 plus, who battled all odds during COVID times for helping the bank reach the present stage. I now invite, there is a presentation or? Okay. I think with this opening remarks, we open up the floor for interaction. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Ashok Ajmera from Ajcon. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, the performance of this quarter is little dismal. In fact, it came much below our expectations because this quarter, the last quarter we were very gung-ho, but this quarter I think we have failed on most of the parameters. So straight away, like the advances, like in the last time you had assured that there will be good growth of the advances. Even the profitability front also we are little bit disappointed. And if you look at all the ratios, everything in this quarter has become negative. Whereas the COVID effect for the second wave started only from April. So my first question, sir, is what was our collection efficiency, sir?
Our collection efficiency overall was 91%.
March, April and May, sir.
91% overall in the month of May. March, April and May, it is over 90%.
That collection efficiency is giving a good assurance for the, if it is good in April and May also. Having said that, sir, on recovery front from the written off accounts, we have failed. It has been lower, much lower than the expectation. And if you look at the even the pro forma credit, pro forma provisioning or pro forma NPA, the actual NPA is above that. How much was the miscalculation in the judgment of the pro forma NPA over and above how much we had to provide?
7,198 crore to be precise was the pro forma NPA that crystallized soon after the judgment. I think overall it has been 8,000 plus slippage compared to about 15,000 the previous year. And our 8,000 slippage, if you have observed the numbers of other banks, it is much, much better than 8,000 slippage is a good number according to us. Kindly compare this number with other major peer bank numbers also. The slippage is one area where we have done exceedingly well last year.
Good to know that. Sir, on the operating profit also, the cost to income ratio has gone up to 58% from the 51% in Q3. What could be the major reasons for that?
Quarterly trend shows it has gone up to 58%, although for annual it is 49.92. The major factor there was, first is, payment and provision for, wage settlement. Second, more important factor was the denominator aspect, where, our operating profit has been lower for various reasons, which I will come to a little later. So the income part, net total income part also has affected. So it has reduced because our net interest income also was negative. So that has affected the ratio. So 49.92% is the overall full year cost to income ratio, which we are planning to bring down below 47% by the end of current financial year.
Yeah, because as against the income of which is came down to 11,380 from 12,310. The interest expended remains almost the same except 110 crores. So total net income is only 4990 crore as against 5807 crore in this quarter. So what exactly went so much wrong? I mean, that is what we were wondering.
Nothing wrong, except the core fact that our advances grew at 1.28%, which was very low, that we acknowledge. And a lot of rate transmission happened. And over the last year, we tried to switch over many of our accounts. For example, MSME, 63% of our accounts are now RBLR linked. Similarly, in retail, about 31% of our accounts are RBLR linked. So obviously, it will have an impact on the income level. But the major factor is low advances growth, which we tried our level best. We did a lot of sanctions. For example, in corporate segment, we sanctioned about 92,000 crore, but the offtake was only to the tune of 46,000 crore, so 50%. Similarly,
but sir, there is a lot of scope in MSME, sir.
Kindly let me finish, Mr. Ashok. Yeah. Kindly let me finish.
Yes, sir.
You asked a lot of questions. I need to answer it to your satisfaction. And
sure.
Then similarly, in line of credit, ODCC, the availment 63% only. It has remained like that for the entire year. All of us are aware of the demand issues. The real sector uptick is not there. So I think it's a matter of time before things start picking up, and accordingly we will move. So our credit book is also a function of the overall demand scenario. So this being the case, and rate transmission compared to 250 basis points policy rate cut, we have passed on about 135 basis points in our MCLR. That also has affected income. I think it's a temporary phenomena, but gradually we have to move down to lower spreads. Like in most advanced countries, 3% is slowly becoming kind of a luxury. So we need to operate more efficiently within a narrower spread. That is what is our take. And we are alive to that reality.
Sir, what I was saying, sir, in the MSME space,
Sorry to interrupt, sir. This is the operator. May I request you to rejoin the queue, please, for any follow-up? Before we take the next question, a reminder to the participants, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have any follow-up, may we request you to rejoin the queue. The next question is from the line of Jai Mundra from BNK Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Thanks for the opportunity. I have a couple of questions.
Hi.
First is, sir, if you can tell us the restructuring, one-time restructuring that we have done so far, and what is the number under implementation? Where we have received the proposals.
Okay, once again, I will hand you over to my Executive Director, Mr. Karthikeyan. He will respond to your query. Please.
Sir, totally we have done restructuring which are eligible amounts amounting to 23,400 crores, of which we restructured about 4,428 crores as on 31/3/21. The segments being in personal loan segment, it was about 738 crores. In MSME, we did about 3,449 crores. And in corporate credit, it's about 640 crores. Thus, the total came to around 4,428 crores.
And what is I did not hear the number correctly. What is the total number? So 4,400 is the which have been implemented. Is there anything which is over this in pipeline, etc.?
Yeah, going forward, probably in the COVID-2, yes, there initially, if you could see, sir, the percentage of availment of restructuring was little bit less because the impact was much lower. But
right.
Going in the COVID-2 scenario, probably, yes, the severity is going to be a bit harsher. So our COVID-2 restructuring will give a lot of scope for that. Nearly about 19 lakh accounts are eligible for us, and a book of about 91,000 crores. So we feel about 60% of them will undergo. There's a good, we have started that process, so we can see about a good number of responses coming in for accepting this portfolio.
Okay, sure, sir. So that was one. And sir, secondly, on your SMA2 book, right, you have given the number which is Krilchi data. But if you can give the number which includes below 5 crore exposure also, would you have that number?
Yeah, presently you should appreciate that our SMA book, if you could, last year, if you see, beginning of it was around 20% of the book. But due to our efforts, we have reduced it to about 12% and 31,321. And going forward in this couple of months, we have reduced it to 11.5%. So there is a good fresh slippage control which is happening, as our MD and CEO told in the opening remark. Our fresh slippage is much better when compared to the peers in the market. We have the numbers in SMA2. We have total of 16,460 crores, which is the SMA2 portfolio, of which retail is about 4,076, agriculture will amount to 3,091, and corporate credit will be around 6,423 crores. So there is a good numbers happening, and we are sure that this ratio, we intend to not cross more than 3,000 crores. That's our plan for Q1.
Right. So if I hear the number correctly, sir, what is the total, sorry, if you could repeat, what is the total SMA2 retail, corporate and total, including below 5 crore?
I'll give you present numbers, or you want March 31st?
No, March 31st and whatever number, sir, I want the total number, I mean below 5 crores also. 52,164 is the number, sir. Okay. This is SMA 120 all put together? Or?
Exactly.
Right. Of this you said, and this is the present number, right? March, April end, or what is this? March and May end?
March end.
Okay. And this would have gone up only, right? Because of the pandemic in the April, May.
It has come down. That is what I'm saying.
But, Mr. Karthikeyan told you, Jay, that total SMA portfolio as a percentage of loans outstanding, it was 20.17% in December 2020. It has come down to 12.59% in March 21 and further to 11.51 in May 21. So there is a progressive improvement in the stressed asset portfolio.
Right. Sure, sir. I'll come back in the future. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Praful Kumar from Dymon Asia. Please go ahead.
Sir, just one question. Did you mention how much was the interest reversal this quarter?
Interest reversal is around 660 crores.
660 crores.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And secondly, in terms of credit growth, now, system credit growth is still close to 6%. For next year, what are you targeting? What are the key levers? As you mentioned about sanction pipeline.
Yeah,
around
the growth 6.5%.
Around 6%. So maintaining what the industry growth would be next year, sir?
Yeah.
Something that you're confident to deliver.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kisan Choksi from Indus Equity Advisors. Please go ahead.
Sir, this is Sushil Choksi, not Kisan Choksi. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Choksi, if you can speak closer to the handset, please.
Yeah, good afternoon. My first question is, you've consolidated the bank well over a period of last 12 to 24 months, including in COVID. And it seems that bank's full top management team is now in place with new ED appointments and how are we well placed? How are we capitalizing on the situation with sufficient equity available and our PCR is also there? Recovery is being stable. And you're seeing the recovery process for the current collection is also good. So how are you seeing if COVID is over and if India is going to grow it with GDP forecasted by RBI, how are we well placed to capitalize?
Yeah, as Mr. Swarup said, we are at the moment projecting a guidance of about 6 to 6.5% growth in credit, but I am sure that number will undergo some revision once we are through with Q2, when we will see the full impact of COVID going away. So, and a lot of economic activity, plus the RBI related dispensations and new schemes, ECLGS 4 and COVID 2.0. I think we will. This 6 and 6.5 will be a minimum we are aiming at, but it could go up. We will need a revisit, and maybe while we are sharing the Q1 numbers, we will be able to give a definitive kind of guidance on that. And capital part, we are well capitalized. 14.93 is good capital, and CET1 of 11.5 odd. So I think there are no issues. Capital will help us expand our credit book, and also resilience to us to take any kind of shocks, if at all there is any. So we are well poised. I think only we are waiting for the demand segment to get revived and the normal activities to start.
Okay. Second thing, sir, if there is media highlighting since yesterday that Niti Aayog has shortlisted 2 candidates, and one big bank and one small bank, so our name is surfacing in that. Do you have any cues or any indication if we are the candidate? How are we going to emerge?
Absolutely no cues, because not 2 alone, but there are different kind of permutation and combinations making rounds in the market. So I think it's prudent to wait for the final call in black and white and then respond to that. As of now, we don't have anything official in this regard.
Okay. Second question, sir, with inflation likely to rise because of commodity inflation specifically, and if the demand is going to increase post-COVID, assuming everything stabilizes in the next 30 days, and we don't face another phase after that, how are we placed in the treasury, sir?
Sorry, do you like to?
How are we placed in the treasury?
Yeah.
If there's a rising inflation trend, the bond market will definitely have a turbulence. How are we placed in that?
Yeah, my treasury head, he will respond. Yeah, Hari.
Yeah, the inflation expectations have been at an elevated level since the beginning of the financial year. But RBI has been intervening with the market overtly and covertly and anchoring the 10-year at 6%. And RBI has today announced GSAP 2 also, with the kind of open market operations and conventional and unconventional tools that RBI is using. We think Treasury is well poised to repeat its performance in the next year also.
So you are comfortable with RBI's direction rather than worrying about what led by inflation. That should I assume?
Inflation and supply concerns remain, but I think RBI has been reassuring the market with its open market operations, with its overt and covert interventions in the market, and the yields have remained anchored around 6%. And we expect the yields to remain in this range.
Considering the accommodative policies that become RBI continues to advocate.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. I'll come back in the queue if there's further questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of MB Mahesh from Kotak Securities. Please go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon. Just 3 questions from my side. One, in your page number 26, there is a restructuring of an aviation exposure there. Did it move to the NPL line also?
No, it has not. No, it has not.
It is a straight, it was restructured directly, is it?
Yeah, it was restructured last year only.
No, it's not visible in FY20. It's visible in FY21.
Guarantee. See, the point is, no, it is not slipping into NPA for a very simple reason, that there is a sovereign guarantee available for that particular account from central government. Under the IRAC norms, if there is a sovereign guarantee, it need not be marked down as NPA.
Okay, perfect. And sir, unlike some of the other banks, the recovery or the income from written off accounts has been on the lower side this year. Any broad indication as to how are you seeing next year?
Next year is likely to be good,
Members of the management?
Because the NCLT recoveries, since NCLTs have started, we feel that NCLT recoveries would actually bring us good recoveries in written off accounts, because most of these accounts are written off accounts, those that have gone to NCLT. Almost we have a kitty of around 40,000 crores there in the NCLT, where we are looking at some substantial recoveries the current year.
Okay. Any broad indications in numbers, or?
It is very difficult to give indication. Let the NCLT start fully functioning. First quarter, things will be clear.
Okay. My last question is on the NART. Any broad indication as to what would be the benefit for you, and if they've told you anything with respect to how the accounting will be for the same? Thank you.
Yeah, Hari, you can respond.
Yeah, NARCL, as things stand today, we have identified accounts segregating with exposure segregating 2,000 crores.
Sorry, how much, sir?
So sorry to interrupt, members of the management, your voice is very muffled.
Yeah. I'll just respond to that. Just listen to me. Mahesh, it is like this. The advantage in terms of exchange of these assets from bank to the NARCL books is very apparent in terms of gross NPA numbers coming down substantially in the asset side of the book. And in the investment side of the book, anyway, NAV will be calculated and they are all valued properly. And whatever de-rating that is required with respect to those assets will be de-rated, and then it will be booked at the value it is supposed to be booked over there in the investment books. So there will be both reversal of provisions wherever possible, and if there is an appropriation of provisions also in some cases. So accordingly, in terms of my asset book, it will have substantial benefit in terms of reduction in the gross NPA levels.
The question was any quantum around it? And
yeah, we have in the first shortlist that has been drawn up, there are about 21 accounts. We are involved with 21 accounts amounting to 5,500 crores.
And these are all currently in gross NPA, or it's already been written off and moved out of the book?
All the accounts are 100% provided accounts.
Okay. So at best, you're saying there will be some reversal on account of this?
Yeah.
Oh, and when are you expected this? When is it expected to be completed?
It will start functioning from the end of June. We are envisaging. Let the things crystallize, then we will be in a Q2. We will be in a position to tell how the things pan out.
Oh, great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rahul Gupta from Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. A couple of questions from my side. You earlier mentioned that around 4,400 restructuring is implemented until now. So what would be the restructuring which is invoked and not yet implemented under restructuring 1?
That's what earlier I had said, that nearly 47 lakh accounts were eligible for restructuring in COVID-1. Only 15 lakh accounts were restructured. But now, going forward, COVID-2, we anticipate a book of nearly about 91,000 crores lying with us, and of this, we anticipate about 60% of that will get fructified in the COVID-2.
So, further to clarify what Karthikeyan sir has said, basically, we don't have any cases where they remain invoked and yet to be restructured. So, whatever accounts where invocation has happened, where borrower has given consent for restructuring, where eligible for, they have satisfied the criteria for restructuring, they stand restructured as of date. Okay, there is nothing called invoked and yet to be restructured. Of course, in terms of COVID-2, we are envisaging around 4,000 crores of outstanding book may opt for restructuring, because again all these schemes are opt-in schemes where borrower have a right to opt in or opt out. And in our case, what has happened is in the first COVID 1.0 restructuring, many borrowers did not opt for restructuring. So we are just waiting and see whether COVID 2.0 there may be a demand for restructuring. That's what we are envisaging, because there is a lot of stress in the MSME books from the borrower side.
Got it, sir. Very clear. So my second and last question is that you earlier mentioned that overall SMA loans outstanding would be around 11.5% by May end. So what would be this number only for SMA 1 and SMA 2 as of May end?
You have the number.
It will definitely come. See, the point is, the restructuring will definitely see that the fresh slippages are going to go down. And as of now, I was just saying it was come to 11.5 in May itself. So going forward, it will go much better. We anticipate lower numbers on this.
Yeah, historically, if you see, Rahul, historically, the bank, in the past years, in the absence of COVID, we used to always have an SMA book of around 6% to 7%. Okay, it never exceeded that, even in the worst of the times in terms of the twin balance sheet crisis that the banking industry had. So it will continue to be at 6-7%. So what has happened is the COVID has actually little aggravated the SMA. Added to that, the moratoriums given, and then some MSME book coming into a little stress, and then retail book also coming into stress. All these have added to this kind of percentage at the SMA level. We feel that it will taper down to back to 6-5% going forward.
So, sir, okay, I got it very clear. My question was that out of 11.5% overall SMA loans, what would be SMA 1 and SMA 2?
The SMA 2 is around 4.5% as of date.
And what about SMA 1, sir?
SMA 1 is also, SMA 1 is not even less than that, around 3.5%.
In fact, the entire SMA number is equally spread over 0, 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Very clear, sir. Thank you. Thanks for the time.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Suraj Das from B&K Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. So I have a couple of questions. First question is on ECLGS. So, sir, if you can just give us the amount which was sanctioned and disbursed under total ECLGS.
ECLGS 5,000. The total this thing sanctioned was 5,200 crore, out of which dispersal about 4,700 crore under ECLGS. And in the current ECLGS 2.0, I think about 700 crore has been sanctioned and 500 crore has been disbursed.
Okay, sir. My second question is, sir, if you can give us the absolute amount for BBB and BB rated exposure on the corporate book, and what is the corporate PCR on corporate GNPA?
PCR and corporate GNPA we will not be able to give.
Share with you, Suraj.
PCR specific to corporate accounts, we may not be able to give you right away, but
BBB book.
I'll tell you, as at March, AAA is 3,300 crore. AA 14 accounts 8,950 crore. A 13 accounts 6,296.
BBB as of now is around 3,804 crores in absolute numbers.
Yeah, right.
Okay. And BB, sir?
BB is not, it's very, very less, very less. It is less than 1,000 crores.
Okay, sir. And sir, my last question is on the moving to new tax regime. So, sir, what is your thoughts on moving on to the new tax regime, and what is the outstanding DTA that you have on your balance sheet?
Thank you, sir. See, new tax regime, currently what happens, we have that something is pending in the court regarding the DTA, MAT credit. So MAT credit, that unless the entire decision comes on the MAT credit, there is around 845 crore MAT credits we are yet to take in our books. And then subsequently, we will go for new tax regime after we get the very saving, in the new tax regime. Once there is a good profit in the next year.
DTA batao, kitna hai?
DTA high nahi. DTA is around 14,000 crore.
Okay, sir.
Will go only after.
See, we are, Suraj, it is like this. Basically, what we are looking at is the switch over to new tax rate of 22%. Of course, the pros and cons of it, we are still weighing it, and it will largely depend upon the decision of the court on minimum alternate tax. So, if you are going to get that, then that benefit will once be derived. Then, in terms of switching over the new tax regime, we can take it off.
Okay. Okay. Understood, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, just one clarification. So on this slide number 26, that where you have given the restructured advances slide, so it includes the COVID-19 restructuring as well? I mean, is this the total restructured book that you have?
Yes. It is 11,000 crores you are talking about, no?
Right.
Yeah, it includes everything.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. The next question is a follow-up from the line of Ashok Ajmera from Matchcon. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for giving me the opportunity again. Sir, now it is in my this second opportunity. Sir, I would like to have some of your comments on the segment-wise reporting of the profitability. Sir, while the treasury profit has gone down from 1,564 crore in the Q3 to 844 crore, there is a major loss of 1,438 crore in the retail banking. Generally, it all depends on the provision which you make into the various segments. So do you have any ready calculation for this, that why the retail banking has given the loss in this quarter of 1,438 crore, wholesale banking has given the profit of 1,025 crore, treasury 844 crore, and unallocated items have given loss of 166 crore. Whether someone can explain this, that why such a variance is there in the numbers of Q3 and Q4?
So there are 2-3 things. Basically, what has happened is, of course, you know what the treasury numbers are already. And the corporate book continues to be at a particular level, and there is a switchover in many cases, in the case of retail, to RBLR, and the quantum of interest that we gained in these loans have come down substantially, in the last quarter also, because the lag effect was there, and then it got into in the last quarter further, in terms of net interest income. Apart from that, there is also, you are also aware, see what has happened is, Q3, Q4, you also asked a question earlier on this point, saying that there was a moratorium for 6 months from Supreme Court, from RBI, and there is judgment, there is a Supreme Court moratorium also continued with respect to loan accounts, Now, they were not marked down as NPA. They continue to accrue interest in the books. Now, at the last quarter, when Supreme Court judgment came, we had to actually mark down many of these accounts as NPA. Now, if you see, whatever markdown has happened, that there will be a reversal of interest. So, there will be a loss to that extent. So, this reversal of interest, which would otherwise have been tapered over 4 quarters, got accumulated and had to be reversed in the last quarter. So, if you see around 660 crores or 700 crores of interest, which would otherwise been normally disaggregated against each quarter, got accumulated in the last quarter and had to be reversed. This is the major reason for loss being shown from Q3 to Q4.
And mainly in the retail book?
Naturally, not only in retail, because corporate book moratorium was not there. Many people did not obtain moratorium. Even in MSME book also, many people did not take moratorium. So this is basically a book where moratorium was avoided. Where Supreme Court order stay was there from marking down the NPA.
Yeah, I got it, sir. My second question was, sir, that there is a transfer of the securities from to HTM to AFS of almost about, I think, 15,200 crore if you take both the central and state government. So at the time of transfer, is there any process of either booking a loss or profit on that transfer pricing and the holding price? And is it connected with the profit from the investment, sale of investment of 2,447 crore?
Yeah. No, at the time of transfer of securities from HTM to AFS, there is no booking of loss. These are transferred at amortized cost. In case the value of the security is above par, these are transferred at amortized cost. If the securities are transferred from AFS to HTM, we have to transfer it at market value. If the book value is higher than the market value, then there is a loss which will be booked. And that in 2020 was a small number. In 2021 also, it has been a rather insignificant kind of number. If you net off the M2N gain on the securities transferred from HTM to AFS,
Yes.
the interest with the capital loss on account of transfer of securities from AFS to HTM, the difference is the M10 gain is substantially higher.
All right, sir. So after the transfer to AFS, I mean, the securities were, that is why the profit on the sale of investment is higher in this quarter as compared to the last quarter?
You're talking about Q1 of this current year?
In the current quarter,
securities are transferred once in a year at the beginning of the financial year. So we had sold off the securities that were transferred in 2020 by the third quarter. There is no profit that is accrued to us on account of sale of securities that were from HTM to AFS in the fourth quarter.
All right, sir. Sir, on this note number
Mr. Ajmera?
this RBI, just a question, just one more little observation. Sir, in note number 15, as per the RBI circular, you know that those, I think 6 accounts were beyond, 30 days to 180 days period, beyond 180 days period, which is not expired on March 1, 2021. It is written, number one. So what is the significance of March 1, 2021 in this note? And secondly, this 6 accounts of 9,836 crore, what is the probability of this account getting resolved or restructured, or what is the NPA component of it? Note number 15, sir.
See, most of these accounts, their restructuring is in process. You are aware of that Prudential Framework Circular of 7th June, where 180 days. And the significance of 1st March was reckoned for the purpose of additional provision that we may have to make in these accounts. There was a reckoning as to whether additional provisions in terms of 5% that prescribed by Prudential Framework Circular has to be made or not. So in that quarter, there was no requirement to make additional provisions in terms of the RBI guidelines. Therefore, provision was not made, and then subsequently also most of these accounts are likely to be restructured. They are in the path to restructuring. Like typically, Future got already restructured. Okay, Shapoorji Pallonji already got restructured. Those accounts only. Okay?
All right, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. I will take it further if I get the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is a follow-up from the line of Jay Mundra from B&K Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. In your agri portfolio of 55,000, if you can break that up into crop loan or maybe gold loan, or basically, or any other cuts that you have, that how much is backed by gold and how much is crop loan and how much is other thing. That was one. No, sir, the entire loan book of agri book.
Agri, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, the gold loan portfolio is around 11,000 crores, only that much. Remaining it all crop loans only. You can take as such. Okay?
Sure. And sir, secondly, sir, what would be your expectations of slippages in absolute amount and credit cost in absolute amount? You can give a range also if you have that number. How should we see the slippages?
Expectation where? Which quarter you are talking about? This
full year 22, sir.
Full year 22 is very difficult here. Well, we'll have to again see the impact of COVID-2 is very, very difficult to predict as of now. We'll let you know, because as on date, I don't foresee a great problem in terms of the corporate book, because corporate book is fairly good now. It has become wonderful, because earlier, last year and earlier years also, most of the credit cards used to come from corporate book. Even last year, the credit cost was very high because of one single account.
Correct.
So that is not an issue now. So we are looking at the stress in the retail, agri and the MSME book, and if restructuring succeeds, and then the economy grows and everything is on right path in the first quarter, we'll have to sit in the first quarter and observe how this pans out. So once it happens, then we'll be able to know what will be the slippages and what will be the. As on date, the slippage ratio is around 2.4%. That continues to be there. And I don't think it will be huge insofar as we are concerned, because our retail book as well as the MSME and agri book is fairly okay. And there is a stress, no doubt, in that because of the COVID. Once COVID reverses, we see substantial improvement in this book. If there is a substantial improvement in the book, naturally the slippage ratio also will not be as much, and then the credit cost also will not be as much. Another thing I would like to share with you that we used to always have what is known as a salvage ratio, substantially at 12% to 13% of the slippages book. So that has come down substantially due to COVID. So again, if it reaches back to 12-13% salvage ratio, we don't foresee a great slippage ratio as well as the credit cost going forward in 2020. So that we will know the clear picture only in Q1.
So, sir, if I were to look at your book, so corporate is probably taken care of. Agri, as you said, 11,000 is backed by gold. And retail hopefully should hold on. What could be your rough sense on the MSME stress? I mean, could it be large enough to have the full year slippages slightly higher than 22, 21, or even if that would go, it should not outweigh the improvement that you will be seeing on your corporate book?
No, it will definitely not outweigh 2021 slippages. 22 will be perfectly okay because there is a lot of support that is coming to MSME. No doubt MSME book is under stress as of date. And our composition of MSME book is such that we have a huge micro loan and small loan segment over there that we see a lot of stress as of date. So once there is a lot of support from the government, another stimulus package is also expected. And added to that, there is an extension that is given to ECGLS and all by government, and there is also a credit guarantee support that will come to MSME substantially. And you are also aware that today RBI has declared a special dispensation to SIDBI by 16,000 crores of TLTRO. There will be a lot of support to MSME. So we don't see that book behaving very badly in 2022. As you already observed, agri and retail book will be taken care substantially.
Right, sir. And last thing, sir, what would be your recovery expectations? I mean, apart from Diwan, is there any account where you are seeing near-term recovery or maybe over the next 6 to 9 months?
Okay. So Diwan, of course, is very close to resolution. We will be happy if it gets resolved in this quarter itself. Other than that, see 8,000 future. So 8,000 crore is what we are looking at. We are recovery target, but again, I think it has an upside going by the fact that and similar things are going in ILFS also, where we have more than 3,000 crore exposure. See, in a sense, I feel, as you know, 38,000 locked up in NCLT, and in that about 8 or 9 big accounts which are at various stages, they aggregate to about 18,000 crore. So through the year, if NCLT is reactivated, I think there will be substantial gains in terms of NPA reduction as well also at least partial write back. This apart, if NARCL happens this year, then as we told earlier, 5,500 crore, that could be hived off from the NPA numbers and also with some attendant benefits of write back. Plus another 2-3 schemes we have launched for the remaining amount of NPA where traction was not happening till recently because of COVID, the lockdown in various places. Now people are moving into different areas, reaching out to the NPA borrowers. So that also will be. This quarter, for example, we had a target of about 3,000 crore, out of which about 2,100 or 200 we have already achieved Q1. And similarly, ARC sale also, we are contemplating about 500 crore worth of ARC sale. If not this quarter, early next quarter we are. And we are having mega e-auction every month. The first 2 such auctions have happened, but again, states, they put some curbs in, such exercises. So I think from next month onwards, July 15th is our next mega e-auction, where 600, 700 properties are being put up for auction. I think all these things, I think definitely they will improve the recovery climate quite significantly during the current financial year.
All right. So, sir, just 2 clarifications here, sir. This 8,000 crore number that you said is the recovery plus write-off or just the plain recovery that you are saying? Is this an NPA reduction or plain recovery? Okay. And second thing, sir, this 2,100 crore that you have already achieved, this would include this large retail account which would have moved to restructure, right? Is that the right understanding?
No, mostly it is cash recovery plus upgradation. Upgradation, that is the overall number. And, when last year also we arrived at OTS with lots of clients and all, there are milestone payments. So there also money is coming in. So all this put together, we have achieved about, plus we have weekly recovery camps for smaller accounts. So that all those things put together, about 2,100 crore is the recovery number as on date.
So what happened to the large retail account? I mean, is it NPA, or upon restructuring it has become standard, or where is it now? I mean, what is the status?
No, it has been restructured, and status will be standard.
Sorry, standard restructured, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is a follow-up from the line of Praful Kumar from Dimon Asia. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, sir. Just wanted to check on margins. Now you said that a lot of repricing has happened on the yield on advances. Do you have any levers to grow margins from the contraction we have seen is close to 45 basis point in this year? So any way you can recoup 20-25 basis point in the coming years in margins?
Ideally speaking, if we reach a level of 2.6, that should be quite significant. Again, I will reiterate that this 3% benchmark, the paradigm has completely changed. At times it may be easy because of, one-off accruals and all. But on a stable basis, I think we should be happy if you are maintaining a margin of 2.5 to 2.6. That's what we will be aiming at.
So understood. So in that view, in terms of you reaching to maybe a target ROA of 0.7, 0.6.
0.5 is what we are targeting. Let's be realistic. With these kind of uncertainties, for us also it's quite a tricky exercise to give specific numbers. We can
My point here is given the fact that it's a new paradigm of a 2.5 to 260 basis point of margin, to improve profitability, what the levers that the management has, except the credit cycle that it's playing out in own, anything that you can do in terms of saving cost or augmenting fee income, so that the overall profitability of the franchise can be better, because 30-40 basis point of structural margin shift downwards. I just want to pick your thoughts on how do you think you can mitigate it by other levers if you have on the cost side or any other focus on it.
Two, three things I would like to add what sir has told. Praful, it is like this. See, the interest expenses have not come down because there is a lag effect on the interest that we pay on the liability franchise. And we have been reducing, and even the industry is also reducing substantially the interest expended on the liability franchise. So the real benefit of that, the interest reduction in the liability franchise will accrue to us during this current year. That is one point. So another thing is there is a very, very palpable shift from corporate book to retail book. You see, RAM has also gone up to 51% today for the bank, and there the margins are better compared to the corporate. Corporate has actually squeezed our margins substantially, and we have to have a lot of problems in terms of our yield on advances due to corporate book. So yield on advances is likely to be anywhere between 8.5. Going forward, if we actually shift our focus to MSME and retail with all kind of support that we get in the through the stimulus from the government, we see a lot of scope there in MSME and retail book growing substantially, because last year also we have grown substantially around 11 and 12% respectively. So we continue to grow, and we actually aim to grow at around 18% in the case of retail book. We also aim to grow around 15-16% in MSME book, considering the support we have where margins are good. So that's where we are looking at, and we try to improve the margins over there. This is our basic focus in terms of improving our margins from present 2.4 to 2.6, what MD sir has told. Okay, this is the idea. And insofar as your other aspects of it, leveraging the cost aspect of it, we are substantially down the cost. The cost that was attributable is only the wage cost that we had to incur last year. So no wage cost is there, will be there in the current year, number one. Number two, as the net interest income goes up, naturally the cost also going to come down because we are not actually envisaged a huge expansion in the physical network that we have. We are shifting our focus to digital from physical. So from that perspective, there will be a complete cost reduction during the current year, which will accrue in the year going forward. So accordingly, our margins are likely to improve this year, this current year, as well as in the next coming year.
Thank you, sir. That was very useful.
Thank you. We take the next question, a follow-up from the line of MB Mahesh from Kotak Securities. Please go ahead.
So just one question on the 3,800 crores of corporate slippages which happened this quarter. If you could give us some color on sectors which drove that slippages, that would be all. Thanks.
Yeah, just 1 second.
बड़ा कौन सा 5,500 करोड़ 3,800
वही होगा ना
किया नहीं विशेष ब्रेकअप बड़ा अकाउंट कुछ आई क्या नहीं है ना
कॉर्पोरेट अकाउंट बड़ा नहीं ना कुछ
एक वो रोड का एक अकाउंट है उसमें रोड प्रोजेक्ट है ना एक we will give you Mahesh the details. Okay. Yeah. See, there is no big account that has actually slipped in the corporate book. There are 5-6 accounts that have slipped. I'll give the details. Which sectoral, of course, accounts we cannot give you. We can give you certainly the sector details. Okay.
Finance. Kindly send a mail. You will send the reply.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. As there are no further questions, I would now like to hand the conference over to Shri A.K. Das for closing comments. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, all analyst friends and all. Today it was almost 1.5 hour very interesting session, and we are happy to get your feedback on certain areas of strength, also grey areas where we need to work further. Hari, please, can you please? So we value your suggestions and feedback, and we look forward to your support also, and hope to see you soon after Q1 numbers are finalized. And once again, thanks from Team Bank of India to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Bank of India, I announce that this conference call is concluded. Thank you all for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.
Thank you.